Welcome, everybody, to an episode of Keep Your Torch Lit. My name is Sam.
My name is Sarah.
My name is Jack, and I'm very thankful it's not Emily. It is a bad week for Emily's.
Yeah, the curse of the Emilys. Man. It's really a bad week to be anybody in season 3, to be honest. It's a pretty
I don't know who
episode.
came out of this episode feeling like great about themselves. I don't know.
Yeah. Whose idea was it to do that theme song, Sad Boy Hours?
Yeah. That was intense.
The Sad Boy Hours theme. That was all Ian. One of Ian's like big kind of like editing signature things is that he like changes the intro kind of based on what's happening during the season, which I've actually like really, really loved. And I really thought that he definitely went all out and with the creativity on this one. And he like went and like specifically found like sad videos of every person.
Oh wow, I didn't notice that there were sad videos. I'll have to go back and watch that.
Yeah. And he found this like theme that was like a sad version of the Survivor Ancient Voices.
Yeah. It's definitely a weird note to start out the episode on because like there's been dark versions of CBS Survivor, but like a lot of times that stuff kind of happens like I don't know towards the end. Like of course the infamous Game Changers Tribal, and then all the stuff with Island of the Idols earlier this year. It's like a really weird situation to be in, just where everybody's just really upset at the start of the episode. And like even the people who are kind of like the perpetrators of it, it's not like they've done anything like so god awful terrible. I mean, like obviously like a lot of stuff they said probably wasn't okay, but I don't know. It's just like it's a really weird situation and a really sad situation for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's definitely an episode that feels like it's just not fully Survivor. Like a lot of the drama revolves around things that are kind of outside of the game, which I think is really interesting because one of the things I think that Survivor Michigan has done over the past 3 seasons is like really show a picture into like, I don't know, the psychology of all the players and what it's like to be a college student, like playing a game against your friends. So I feel like that's one of the things that kind of like makes College Survivor unique is that it feels a lot more like real life than CBS kind of feels like this like game show. You know what I mean? Like, so.
You turning right, Sam? Also, I don't know if it was like, I don't know if it was obvious in the video, but the challenge happened pretty much right after Ben got voted out. So they didn't really have time to like process a lot of it before going into that challenge.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at that point we were doing a lot of back to back stuff.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that like you don't really catch in the edit all the time is that for scheduling, it's so hard to schedule around like college students that we generally we do challenges after tribals like a lot. And then we kind of like edit it since they're different episodes. It looks like it's like a lot of time has passed, but like, yeah, there was like no time for anybody to really absorb the Ben bomb. Like it was kind of like a bomb that had a really long fuse.
Yeah. Okay. So do we want to talk about like how fair we think the Ben bomb was?
Yeah.
What production was thinking at the time?
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of production stuff in the comments. So yeah, definitely.
Well, so you guys were actually.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about it?
Well, I guess I was on production, but I wasn't like physically there. But I do kind of remember some of the chats. I think the main thing what it came down to was like you're allowed to show screenshots at any point in the game. Like that's allowed. You can't show videos, but like how we reasoned it is as long as he's still in the game and he's like sending screenshots, that's fine.
Yeah. He had a screen recording, but it was like a screen recording of
that's
like,
fine.
Of like
that's
text,
fine because you just can't show like confessionals
or like videos of meetings with people.
Yeah.
And
because
sorry, go ahead.
Because anything that's like written can be a bluff. Whereas like if it's in video, it's usually like what actually happened.
Yeah, I mean,
which is why
fake group memes have definitely happened before, so Yeah.
Exactly.
And so I think the exact timing of it was after the last vote was read for him, but before his torch was snuffed. Is that correct? That he like pressed send on the email?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that's the rationale is that like I think was that like at that point you could like go around and like say, oh, this person has an idol or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that's been done at like some point, or just some sort of like stuff like that. So like the
Yeah.
reason that's like at least the very last point before your torch is snuffed, that something like that is appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I feel like one of the really only thing, one of the biggest things that was controversial about it was also that like we did have a rule that said you're not allowed to have your phones out during tribal. So
We did?
like, but we
Yeah, that
hadn't
was
really been
very
enforced.
loosely enforced. I feel
Yes,
like
Oh.
we hadn't
yeah,
been
That wasn't
enforcing
even
it.
a thing on our
So like
season.
yeah. Well, and I think that we felt like it would be unfair if like we told them no, and then only started enforcing a rule when like somebody asked us about it. Like because we hadn't been enforcing it at other tribal councils, people had their phones at other tribal councils. Like the one at that Rocks tribal, Cassie used her phone to like set a timer, like
Oh
when during Andrew's little
yeah.
speech. Like so I feel like even though it's a rule, we hadn't been enforcing it, so it felt unfair to like choose that time to enforce it. But I do think that after the Ben bomb is I think we mentioned it when we talked with Ben. We were like, that was when we really started actually enforcing it.
Yep. Okay, so do we want to talk about the demerge now and like explain? Because I know there's also a lot of mixed feelings about this twist.
yeah. It's kind of like a
Yeah. I don't know.
right, sorry. I feel like it's kind of like a infamous thing because it's like it's happened a few times in CBS ever to you, and I feel like it's never like people feel great about it, but I don't know. Just I feel like it's just
It's
something
like,
that, especially
yeah,
with this season where we're just going walls to the wall with the twist. Like I feel like it's kind of something that you have to do.
yeah, like we wanted to have a twist basically every week. And so, like, with that many twists, this just was kind of a natural one that came up. Probably Matthew Israel
Mm-hmm.
brought it up.
Yeah. And I remember we were worried about doing an 18-person cast for the first time, so we needed a
Yeah.
couple of like double elimination boots. So like it's
Oh.
this one, and then there was the
Wait, you mean 20 person? Or
wasn't it eight? It was 18, right?
wasn't ours also 18?
Oh, I guess ours was 18. Never.
It
I
was
don't know what I'm
18.
talking about. I thought that was a concern.
Yeah.
It's
I
never.
think it was because I
I
think
guess
you're
so.
right though,
Yeah.
because like we had scheduling issues, so like we had
Yeah.
to like pack a
And
lot of them.
for yeah. Yeah. I think that one of the things about the Deemers that like a lot of people I feel like it makes it controversial is that it like gives a lot of power to the people on the bottom.
And like I get that like it can screw people over or whatever, but also like there is an element of luck to Survivor. I feel like when it comes to swaps, it's always a little bit of luck. And also you kind of have to
Mm-hmm.
always be prepared for whatever. Like you can't just like ruin relationships just because you think you're like at merge now
Yeah.
and just like not care about certain people. Like you never know what's going to happen in Survivor. That's like part of
Hey, you
it.
gotta expect the
So
unexpected. Big brother.
exactly.
And like, I mean,
Yeah.
I like that little flashback that it goes to of Will kind of predicting it. So it was something that was
Oh
at least
yeah.
like kind of like on their radar. It's not like it was just something completely, I don't know.
Yeah. One thing I also want to say about it too is that like they at least had an element of like choice. Like they were able to choose. There was like a strategy involved with what tribes they were demerged into. So like versus just like being randomly demerged or like they at least had some strategy involved with it, which I feel like makes it a little bit more like palatable as a twist. You know,
Right.
like they actually were able to choose what tribe they were on.
Yeah, so speaking of that, everyone pretty much dropped except for Austin and Brady, right? Wasn't that the thing?
Yes, I love how like Austin. I love how Austin has been like low key a challenge beast. Like everyone, I feel like he gets near the end of like a lot of these
Yeah,
challenges.
like the eating one, steal the bacon. He did
Like
well.
whether it's yeah, 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 exactly. Like, yeah, just seeing this matchup of Austin versus Brady is just like
Yeah.
the two most opposite players. Like, it was just funny like seeing this showdown. I was thinking, do you think that Austin was drawing off the energy of Wawa?
Yes. Oh, for sure. I feel like he knew that in a demerge scenario, he needed all the energy he could get. And, Lavana wasn't going to cut it this time. So he had to go to the main pure source of energy in Wawa.
Oh man, but
What
what
do
do
you
you
guys
think?
think you would have done? Do you guys think you would have held on to try to be safe and no matter what, or try to get yourself onto a tribe where like you're with your people?
I would want that immunity. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Even when
think
you're with your people, say there's 3 of your people and 2 of the other people.
That's true.
What
It's
if
not
one of them
guaranteed.
has an idol?
You're so
Like,
right. Like
yeah,
immunity is the only thing that's guaranteed.
yeah.
hmm think of
But it's like,
if you're either
yeah,
Emily, you just gave up. You just got voted off because you literally dropped on purpose. Like if you just need to outlast Austin
Yeah.
and then you are immune. Like
I don't know. Like, it's not as bad as like dropping for peanut butter, I feel like, but like in
honestly, when
those
you're like
situations.
starving,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
But it's
like
like
I
the
feel like
people
I would not think straight.
there's always every single time there's people who do that, and then those are the people who get voted out. I don't know.
I know. I feel like it
That
always
would
does
totally
happen
be
though.
me.
Yeah. Like, wasn't that like Kim this season? Didn't she drop for peanut butter?
Yeah, she did. Oh.
Yeah.
I just really feel like that's something I would do. Like I get
Mm-hmm.
so hungry.
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
it's different in like in CBS. I can kind of understand that like you're literally starving, so your mind is like deteriorating, but also you're thinking
Yeah.
like if I just have this energy, maybe I'll be able to like be a
Mm-hmm.
better social player. Maybe I'll have some better ideas. Maybe I'll do better in the next challenge. Like I can kind of understand that,
Yeah.
but like quitting, but in college, like
I know. In
it's different.
college, you're taking 18
In
credits, you're working a
college,
job,
no.
your mind is deteriorating at the same rate.
For me,
True.
it's the food.
Yeah.
It's all about the food. Like, if in college I had enough food, but if I was on an island, I don't know.
If we confirmed, if we all went on CBS Survivor, Sarah would definitely drop for the peanut butter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I when there's like cameras on me and I know I'm gonna be on national television, I think I might get some adrenaline and I might not do it. So
Or
we'll see.
or maybe you would do it like Tyson, but you would use the peanut butter to power your
Yeah.
victory.
Yeah. Well, he got it when he was already out of the game. Like,
That's true. Anyways, going back to that challenge.
Anyway.
Anyways, transitioning from that peanut butter, one of the things I know we mentioned last time that Cassie doesn't have like a lot of footage, which is a bummer because I do feel like she's been playing the game pretty well in some aspects. Like she told Aaron to grab the orange buff. I felt like that was really smart.
yeah. Yeah. Like, what did she say? Like we got your.
We believe in you.
Yeah, we believe in you. Yeah. Which I feel like is kind of like an interesting thing to say. Like, it's not like, oh, like you're safe with us, so like we got you. It's like we believe in you.
She isn't like making any sort of commitment to Aaron.
Yeah.
She's just like, yeah, she just like, we believe in you. Like, you should do it. Like, but it definitely is implying like that she should trust them.
You know what it like weirdly kind of reminds me of? Just
What?
to go on another sidetrack back to CBS Survivor. Sorry.
Are you talking about what?
But of Candace in Cook Island one to
We
Billy
love
Garcia.
you.
We love you.
That is
We
one
lo-
of the funniest moments of all
Yeah.
time.
We loved your burgers, Aaron.
Yeah. We love your burgers.
We
You're
love
so
you.
damn good, Aaron.
Oh man.
Wow. So is Aaron gonna fall in love with Cassie now? I'll be here for it.
Yeah, maybe. We had a great girl power alliance in the works potentially. I would love to see that partnership. But yeah, no, I thought that was smart too because I think it was Emily, was like, oh yeah, like I dropped right away so I could split up Cassie and Dylan, but then like Cassie and Dylan just picked the bus together, And by getting Aaron on their tribe and like wanting to work with them, Cassie basically guaranteed she has a majority. So
Yeah.
right there, just by getting Aaron to pick that buff.
No,
And on the other hand, like by Will and Paddock and like their whole alliance all drawing buffs together, it's pretty dumb because then all of a sudden they realize like one of us is gonna get voted off and we're all in the same alliance. Like they really bungled that one.
yeah. I mean, Cassie played that so well. Like, she's now the mean girl that, is telling the person that she can sit at her table, And that gives like a ton of connection and like pride to that person and like brings them right over to you if they can sit at the cool kids table.
Exactly. Instead of saying we don't like you, it's like we
Yeah,
believe in you.
exactly. Look at that evolution, even though it wasn't her originally. Yeah. But
Classic Cassie getting blamed
yeah,
for Chloe's
they
words.
were one person.
That's true. That's true. I do want to say like to Cassie's game, I do feel kind of like her game got damaged so much at that Rocks tribal that like, and it wasn't all entirely her fault either. I mean, she kind of just got that reputation that Chloe had, and it kind of like throughout the game up until this point kind of stuck with her. Like I know there wasn't a lot of videos people saying stuff like that, but even just like what people kind of said in their interviews and stuff like that, like after that Rocks tribal, it definitely did like Cassie, like all of Tafiti was kind of like grouped in, especially like Cassie and Chloe were kind of seen as like the same. And I feel like that's one of the things that has been unfortunate for Cassie. So like any chance she can have to kind of like rebuild her reputation or like build more social connections, I think is definitely good on her part to kind of like turn a fresh page in the game.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about how Devin just went out and snagged that buff from Emily B.
It's a sneaky little
That was
Ross.
so savage.
Yeah.
What a
Devin
Ross
low
move right
key.
there.
Devin low key cracks me up. Like he just snagged it with no regrets.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a sneaky. He's a sneaky little guy. I do like. Yeah. It was kind of funny. Like I don't know something about Devin. Like I just like he just like seems a little bit mischievous sometimes.
Oh, he definitely has like a little mischievous side to him. He's quieter than a lot of the other big players. Just like even on like Sabu, he's definitely like the most quiet of them. But he's sneaky.
He definitely is thinking a lot about the game.
Oh yeah.
And like yeah, I feel like he like looks at assess the situation and then just like grab the buff because he just knew whoever was stuck on that tribe with like Dylan, Cassie, and Aaron was it was not going to be good. Even though actually I feel like he could have been probably fine if he did go on that tribe.
Yeah, he probably would have been fine, but that's not a risk that he wanted to take.
He was much better going with the one he went with because he's automatically guaranteed Sabu majority with Will and Paddock kind of on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that maybe, I don't know. Do you want to say who played this the worst? Who did the worst job at this twist? Would you say Will and Paddock?
Yeah, probably. I think it's just a very, very bad episode. Like, or even just bad like first 10 minutes for Will and Paddock. Because you have them being the main victims of the Ben bomb. And then really kind of bungling this, like going from a power position into a weak position on this demerge trap.
I mean, I've never seen somebody's game blow up faster than Emily Paddock in one episode. Going from like last episode, she was kind of like on top of the game to like completely her game blowing up in all different ways. She went from winning 2 immunities in a row, being in a dominant alliance and having connections with everybody, to getting her reputation destroyed in front of the entire game, and then having been demerged onto a tribe where she got voted off and her alliance like lost 2 numbers in 1 week. Like pretty, I would say catastrophic week for Paddock.
And not even like completely her fault. Like obviously,
not like
I mean, like she shouldn't have been saying those things about Aaron and those texts and stuff. But it's not like she was the one visibly making the mistakes that tore it up. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Like it was a lot of. It wasn't necessarily like she made it was more mistakes that she had made way earlier in the game that are coming to light. Like she didn't actually make any bad moves. Like I would say this episode, like every move she made was pretty good. Like her pitch to Austin was really good. Like it was just stuff outside of her control. It really like I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves and doing a bit of a Paddock eulogy now. But like, yeah,
We jump around a lot these days. I
we
feel like
do we do. We're all getting old and senile. You know, our minds don't work as good as they used to. Not as sharp. But should we talk about the Ben bomb and kind of the fallout from that?
I think we were talking about the Ben bomb.
Well, just like
Oh,
the fallout,
yeah,
like
you're
with
right. Yeah,
Aaron's
so
read. Yeah.
obviously, like, I felt really bad for Aaron because it's like never fun seeing bad things said about you. Like, even when strangers say bad things about you in the comments,
Mm-hmm.
it still hurts. But then these are like people who she thought were her friends, and that's
Yeah.
even worse.
Yeah, she trusted them a lot, especially Paddock. Like I felt like she was pretty close with her.
Yeah. She really thought that Paddock was like her closest ally in the game. And to know that not only has she been being lied to the whole time, but like the people that she really liked were like didn't seem to like her at the beginning, at the beginning of the game at least. That's really earth shattering. So it is like just like I don't know, man. There's so much that could be said about the whole situation, but I do really think that, and I've seen this happen before in our season and other seasons where you do have this very tribal mentality where you kind of find somebody where it's like you kind of bond over having a common enemy,
That's exactly what I was
where,
gonna say. Like,
yeah,
they didn't think that their texts were gonna be released, which doesn't make it any more right, but like, it was probably way more exaggerated because they were trying to bond. And like, I mean, honestly, if I go into, I'm probably dig up some mean things, gossiped about other people, just like in the moment. But
yeah,
like, it doesn't make it any less like sad slash
yeah. Well,
mean.
exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the things that I think is, I don't know, it should just be a reminder to everybody of like that first of all, it doesn't take any weight away from how awful it was, but it
Mm-hmm.
also should like hopefully make people realize like, man, like I've said mean things about people behind their back too. Like I've done that before. I was told all of us can think of situations where we have said things that were not good. And if it's like in a text or you think it's like hidden, you think it's not as big of a deal, but it's still words are very powerful. And I hope that it's like a really good reminder for people. And I think that everyone this season really did see the situation and learn and grow from it and realize like this is something that you can't do. Um, I hope that it's a learning experience for everybody, and I really do feel for Erin because even if there is some positives and learning and growing that can come out of it, she's still kind of like it's kind of at the expense of Erin, and people mentioning the expense of her dignity, which I really feel bad that she kind of like she was just very much put in the spotlight for all of this, and it's not fair to her at all that she had to go through that and kind of be like, I think Will actually in this episode said like be the victim of a public spectacle or something like that. And Will is definitely not blameless in the situation, but there is some truth to that too, and that I think that there was some wrong and kind of dramatizing the whole thing from Ben's end to like make Will and Paddock look worse, but also
Yeah, didn't
obviously
he?
they're.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
didn't he like kind of like remove some of the things that he was saying or like edit out messages that he had sent? Is that accurate? Or am
That's
I
what
making that up?
that's what Emily said in the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that much. I can't speak into the specifics of a lot of those things. I just what I come away from it is just in general, it's just a sad situation.
Yeah.
This is very heavy. And I really, yeah, I feel for everybody, but I feel especially for Erin.
Me too.
All right.
So we get our sad title sequence kind of at the end of this
Oh,
thing.
but also I want to mention how Eliza was like appalled by all of that.
Yeah.
And Sabu Sabu in general, I feel like.
Hmm.
I
I
feel
really
like in
liked.
general, like
Go ahead.
the feuding has. Well, I guess Sabu Sabu was in a feud with Tafiti,
Mm-hmm.
but like they're usually more like the wholesome side of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and much to Will's chagrin, he's making fun of them, right? For oh, like we're Sabu Sabu, we play the game right and fair. We just want everybody to like us,
Yeah. I'm so sick of being the villain all the time. Will
Mm-hmm.
says something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do. I don't know. There's something to be said about like you don't want you don't want to. No, nobody's perfect, Like Sabu Sabu can't like. I don't think that anyone can look at the situation and judge like, wow, I'm so much better than them. I would never do something that bad, because all of us have done shitty things in our life. But I did really appreciate Emily B's response to the situation when she kind of like when she called Aaron, was like, "Wow, I'm really sorry this happened to you. If there's any way I can support you, let me know." I think that's the best way to respond to something
Mm-hmm.
like this. Not saying like I'm appalled by these awful people and these horrible things they did. How could they? How dare they? That's probably not the best response. Saying like, blaming somebody, shifting the blame to somebody else is probably also not a good response. I just like how Emily didn't make it about anybody else. She just was like, wow, I'm sorry this happened to you. Like, I'm here to help. I think that was a good response.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Keep in mind also, audience, that there's don't read into too much of all these things we're saying too. We're analyzing this from like the perspective of watching an episode and watching TV characters. There's so much more to every situation in life, and we're not speaking towards like the character of these people. So definitely keep that in mind too as you're listening. I know. So, because all these people, um, yeah, I feel like we said that over and over this season and then these podcasts about how there's just a lot to every situation. Every person has their own side of the story, and you can't judge someone's character based off of what you see on a TV show. Doesn't mean you can't call out things when they're wrong, but you're really knowing people's hearts takes knowing them in person. So I just wanted to note that too.
And it's deep.
All right, would you want to move on to some of the strategy?
Yeah, what I thought was interesting was how they decided to use as Austin, who's like the most loyal Sabu Sabu member, as so it seems, to flip on Sabu Sabu.
Yeah, and it actually almost seems to work, surprisingly.
It's so weird because it's funny because there's that one phone call where Austin was talking to the other Sabu Sabu members, and he was like, I don't know, I have to think about it. And they're just like, what? Like,
What?
Austin is like the mascot for Sabu
Mm-hmm.
Sabu.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine Rupert being like, I might flip on the Drake. I will think about it.
I might flip on the hero tribe and go with the villain. I mean, flipping on Louisa and Devin and Emily and going with Will and Paddock.
Yeah.
That's literally
Will's
what it
like the
is.
Russell, I feel like, in this situation. He's like, I don't know, Sandra. Like, Russell's making some good points over here.
And there's, Will is like those heroes, they think they're so high and mighty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of being a villain here. Who do they think they are?
I don't even like Saku Saku.
That's like totally what he would say.
I do think that Emily is like so good at just like manipulating people in Survivor. Like how I think that was like one of the things where she, we saw her do it to Aaron kind of earlier when she got Aaron to spill the idol to her. And then she's like with Austin, she was just like, but Austin, like, remember we did save you earlier and, blah, blah, blah. And Austin's like, ah, dang, like, you're right. Like, maybe I should flip and save you, Like, she really did get in his head.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm jumping around way too much. I'm definitely old and scatterbrained, but I definitely want to talk about the like the comparison between Austin like almost crying at the post vote and her being like, "Yeah, fuck Austin. This is dumb."
Oh, poor Austin. Emily just went full villain this episode.
Yeah,
Like
she
we kind of
did.
saw these subtle little like villain, like shadows throughout the whole season. Remember one of the things that Chloe said in the podcast was like, yeah, one of the things I'm surprised about is like how I thought that Emily would be more villainous, and it's like we definitely saw that her full villain form come out this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, like there were hints of it with like like I don't remember if it was like his idea or my idea, but yeah, that was like one of my favorite confessionals
Yeah,
from a couple episodes back.
that was so great. Yeah. Oh, but yeah, Austin really, I think that like it obviously was really bad strategy on Austin's part to kind of like go to Sabu Sabu and say like, oh man, like I can't make you a promise right now if I'm gonna stick with you or not. But I do feel like I think he said it early in the season that like he's one of the most emotional people in this game. He plays with his heart. And like his heart was like telling him like, oh, I want to stick with Sabu Sabu, but also like Will and Emily did save me. They saved Austin and got rid of Chloe. So he definitely does feel this like loyalty to them. And I can see that how that definitely puts him in a really tough position because he doesn't want to disappoint anybody. So like while that might be a really bad strategy, like on paper, I feel like he is just someone that just has such a like, big heart for the game that it definitely gets in the way of his strategy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then Will it went from like on top of the game to like he's basically sees the bus is going to hit either him or Emily, and he's just trying to
Jump out
he's
of
in
the
full
way.
jump out of the way. Did you guys watch Survivor Maryland like All Stars?
No, I'm sad to say that.
Yeah.
Because like he reminds me of I don't know if you agree, Sarah. Will reminds me of Shubal.
Shubal?
Yeah.
I feel like Shubal had a better social game though.
I don't know if he did. Shubal did not have like the best. I don't know. I will say that
I feel like
Shubal
Will
was
has
like
an underrated social game.
Okay.
I'm not speaking in context
You know
of
what?
knowing this
Maybe
comparison, but I feel like Will like had a better social game than Ben. At least like Ben had a really good one at first. I feel like Will at least is able to get people to like link up with him for longer. I don't know.
I think what it is just they're very different peoples, and
Yeah.
Will's just more flashy to me.
I think that the comparison
But,
I see is just like they both have this reputation while they're playing, and I'm not going to spoil Maryland for people that haven't seen it.
Like me, I'm
But
taking my AirPods out, not listening to what you're saying.
Shubal is someone that definitely has a reputation of being a schemer, and he always kind of has a plan. He always has his little scheme to get out to kind of slink away. You know what I mean? That's the way that I've kind of seen Will in the season, where like Will is always scheming. He's always thinking.
Will schemes? I haven't seen much Will scheming, honestly.
Wait, Will scheming? Nah, he doesn't.
I think you're talking about a different person.
But like he had his plan. He had a plan. He always has a backup plan, and his backup plan was to get out of the way and let Emily get hit by the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up writing her name down.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like that's a good skill to have. Like, you got to know when to let your meat shield take the bullet for you, and not like try like and not like and like you said, not to try too hard to get you both out of the way of the bus. Like, if you can only save yourself in Survivor. I mean, that's like the thing about Survivor is that morally, a lot of times the right thing to do is not line up with the best game thing to do, and I feel like that's kind of the theme of this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, especially for this tribal council, like, you gotta do what you gotta do to get past it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, side note, I love Will singing.
Yeah, that was a weird little like subplot that I wasn't expecting, but I loved.
Oh yeah, so Will was actually in theater back in the day. He like showed us some videos, and like he can actually sing.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man, that was great. What was the context? Did we get the context of why he was singing the Spider-Man theme song?
I do not
I
know.
feel like it just kind of like cut to him singing and Austin just kind of like jamming along with it.
Yeah, well, Austin's just there. He's just like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm getting a show. I don't know. Cooper storyboarded this one. I have no idea where that came from, but
All right. Well, whenever we interview one of them, I'm definitely gonna have to ask what the context of the Spider-Man singing was.
we will have to ask Will or Austin
Yeah.
how that came to be, and we're also gonna have to ask about those burgers, get some more details.
Yeah. Some more juicy details.
Yes. So the first tribal is the Paddock tribal. So I thought it was interesting too that Emily never really threw Will under the bus. Like she was pretty much just like depending on Austin to turn on Savu Savu. We're asking the Savu Savu loyalists to turn on Savu Savu.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of goes back to something that we've talked about before about swap tribes, and this is kind of a similar instance. You know, it's not exactly the same because it's a demerge, but like, yeah, about whether the better thing to do is just flop on somebody like I did with Sarah Avery, you know, in season 2, or to try to get somebody to flip. And I feel like if you're in the minority, you're usually better off just trying to flop on one of your beloved tribe mates.
Yeah, no, I think that was because imagine if Will had tried to like throw Devin under the bus or something. It definitely would have hurt his standing with Devin and Eliza. So I think it was good on Will. Emily probably should have threw Will under the bus, I guess. I just didn't see her ever desiring to do that. But maybe it would have been good. I don't know if that would have been successful either. But
yeah, I mean, it seems like it almost worked getting Austin. Like, you can't fault her for trying.
She could have got Austin. I wonder if she could have got Austin to vote for Will. Because it seems like Austin's closer with Emily.
I think Austin's just so nice.
Yeah.
Austin's just so nice where, like, somebody comes to him with an idea.
He's going to listen.
He's like, yeah.
It's hard for him to say no.
Like, he's never going to just shut it down, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Elisa definitely did seem very much like she was kind of shutting Emily down. In that, like, phone call we kind of saw her. She, like, winked at the camera and everything. Or, like, raised her eyebrows. I don't know. She's...
Yeah, exactly. She's more cold-blooded.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like Austin is kind of like the person who's like, you know, I invest so much in this game. I know Paddock is somebody who also invests so much in this game. Like, it hurts having to do this to her because I know how much it means to her.
Yeah. So, felt bad for... He clearly was not having a fun time writing her name down. But it ended up being 4-1. Will also would have been Paddock.
Yeah, he did. He flopped.
He did. No, I actually like the comparison you talk about with Sarah Avery because I definitely feel like, you know, not exactly the same situation, but similar kind of thing where it definitely was like the move that you made was just as good as the Will that it was definitely the right move to make, just like I think it was for Will. Because like for you, it kind of like gave you like good standing with like Cerulean afterwards. You know, like imagine if you've been trying to like, no, we got to get out Nick, or we got to get out Mike. You know, that would have not sat well with Cerulean afterwards. You know.
Yeah, I guess the difference is that like at that point, Sarah was probably like my number 4 after you two and Maggie. So like it was easier for me to do. So it's probably harder for Will to do it, but
yeah,
I mean,
I think his number 1 was Emily, but he's also very close to Lisa. I feel like Will kind of always has like a next person on deck. Like, well, okay, I guess Lisa's my closest ally now.
Yeah, exactly. Always 2 there.
Yep. We see that Emily gets her torch snuffed, and she's not super happy. She has a lot of things to say. She says like she basically like spills a lot of information on her way out. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, little Emily bomb. She was inspired.
These tormentas just like on their way out.
Mm-hmm.
I swear. Um, so speaking of Emily and hearing things she has to say, let's hear some things that Emily has to say.
Whoa.
Whoa. I was just gonna be like, first of all, like, how have you been doing since season 3 ended? Because that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like a lot has changed. Like, just any life updates you want to give people, any exciting things that have happened in those 2 years, anything.
My
Yeah.
hair is no longer blonde. I dumped my boyfriend and I got a cat.
Wow.
Wait, what color is your hair now?
Brown.
Yeah, I think it
Oh,
looks
right,
great.
okay.
I've only seen it in Instagram pictures. I haven't seen any Survivor people in real life in a while, but it looks great.
Thank you.
Yes. And how is
Yeah.
your cat doing? What's your cat's name?
He's okay. His name's Ashton. He is 16 pounds. He's 12 years old, and he loves food.
Oh.
Wow.
Aw.
I love how you have all these like very concise like he's 16 pounds, he's 12 years old, he loves food. Like it sounds like it's like a made for TV little like sound bite.
Yeah.
It's his traits. That's his what is it called? A Chiron?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Chiron? I don't know. I've never known how to say it correctly.
Chiron?
Like I always see it written out on like Reddit and stuff. Chiron?
Yeah, whatever that is. That's his. One time they'll say 16 pounds, another time 12 years old, and then loves food.
And Emily, you also played like some other Survivor games in the last couple years, right?
Yes. After Survivor Michigan, I wanted redemption. I wanted to play differently, correct some mistakes. And so I went out to Buffalo, New York, and I played a weekend game of Survivor. And then I played another weekend game of Survivor in also in New York, but this time about an hour north of New York City. And then I've also played a day-long game in Marine Park in Brooklyn.
Wow.
Ooh. Are these things available to
bro.
watch on YouTube or anywhere?
Yeah, so Survivor Buffalo is on YouTube. Season 1, I was a player. Season 2, I actually was the host. So if you want to watch that.
Wow, you did the
Wait,
Cooper.
what?
You're the Cooper. You played
I'm
season
the
1 and hosted
Cooper.
season 2.
Yeah.
Yes, Cooper, but I guess also without a girlfriend. It's an improvement.
Oh wait, you got to tell everybody the like story behind that, because I feel like it was like
Yeah.
you could hear the comments a little bit in the episode, but you didn't really have the context.
Yeah, he kept messing up the necklace. Like it took forever for him to clip that thing, and my mind just went to like, boyfriends know how to clasp these necklaces, and I actually had no idea about Cooper's relationship status, but it was evident right in that moment he had not been putting necklaces on people. So I was like, Cooper, you need a girlfriend. And yeah, it became a running joke.
Mm-hmm.
Became the tribe name.
It became the group me name.
Yeah.
It's almost a tribe name, but I think he just like wouldn't allow it, right?
Austin wouldn't allow it.
Okay, that's true. Austin would not allow it.
Austin wouldn't allow anything. They didn't come off of Austin's list.
Yeah.
Austin would have named the merge tribe Savu Savu if he allowed them to.
Yeah. Or Savu, maybe.
Savu Savu. That'd be great. Oh man. That's fun. Yeah, because you won 2 immunities in a row. That was a pretty impressive streak. I mean, like, there's a time where you had been the only person that had won immunity.
Yeah. I wish I could say that, I was voted out because I was a challenge threat, but obviously that's not the case. But yeah, I enjoyed the immunities. Actually, a snippet of Survivor Buffalo, the coin balancing challenge was in Survivor Buffalo. And I'll just spoil that. I won that challenge at Survivor Buffalo.
Whoa,
Ooh,
spoilers.
Nice.
So I'm good at balancing coins.
Yeah.
Queen of balancing coins.
Yes.
Random side note, but have you guys seen Survivor Nicaragua season 21?
Yeah.
Because I always think of like that their final challenge in that season was balancing the coins. I remember just like how the coins were just like how shaky they were and how dramatic it was. Anyways, I love that challenge because
and the music with it just really
Yeah, exactly.
Did Fabio win that challenge?
Yeah, it was the one. I think that like it was the one where if he would have lost, he would have been voted off.
Oh yeah.
So it was, and I was really rooting for him to win it. And so I remember how how much was like involved, how much the stakes were so high for it, But
Yeah.
it's fun challenge.
Yeah, Emily, I wanted to ask you about your reaction to like the Ben bomb and that whole thing.
Oh my gosh, like in the game or watching it?
I guess both.
In the game, I remember being really, really pissed at both Ben and honestly at production. Because I would have been under the impression we were supposed to have phones at Tribal, and this was sent as the votes were being read. And I was like, why was this allowed? But it was also like, holy cow, like this is crazy. Like we were told not to message, and that's our own fault. I immediately knew once that was sent, I immediately knew my game relationship with Aaron was over and potentially with other people. I knew I had to get on, especially when the demerged tribe twist was announced, was like I needed to get on a tribe without Aaron because she needed space. She was gonna need space, and then two, it just like game wise, it would have been bad. But that also, me, Will, Eliza stepped aside, and Eliza said, "Yeah, we'll be a majority on whatever tribe," but it just obviously didn't work out.
Oh, so I'm curious, like what happened with that, because like we were kind of talking earlier how it seemed like you and Will really made a blunder with like getting on the same tribe with a bunch of your allies, but like if you guys was it like you said you guys were the first ones there?
Yeah, well, we knew we needed to split up Dylan and Cassie, and then we could be fine. But Dylan and Cassie also knew that they were savvy enough to know they needed to be on the same tribe, and they needed Brady to win immunity or someone to flip with them. And so they made sure right away they're on the same tribe. And Will and I wanted to be on the same tribe. And it was like at one point, like Devin and Emily B, I think, were fighting over a buff. Like it could have been Devin instead of Emily B, just based on. I think production had to clarify who touched the buff first because it was the last buff to grab.
Yeah. I remember, that being like a thing where it was really hard to make a call because, like, for Devin and Emily B, that was like the game was that their game was in the hands of that decision.
Because they knew that the other tribe was going to be majority of original Tafiti.
That's one thing I was wondering about is if. No, actually, no, I don't know what would have happened if Devin had been on the other tribe, and if
I think it just would have been Devin. It would have been Devin the same way. I don't know. I really don't think Emily B would have voted with me, or I was the only person. I was a single vote for Devin. Everyone else voted for me. Potentially, there could have been something pulled off, but Will truly had. Will wasn't going to work to save me. Will was just going to sit with his relationship with Eliza. So it had to be, I don't know, my relationship with Emily B in the game was on and off. It was truly through other people. And that's my problem in that Innovatrium Alliance, or one of my problems in the Innovatrium Alliance. I didn't have relationships with those Sabo people very closely individually. You can tell with the way Austin was reacting that my relationship with him was closer than with the others. And that also was from a manipulation standpoint too.
Did you ever consider throwing Will under the bus?
No, not even for a second. To me, so I in these games I play to win. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win. But I've realized by playing lots and lots of times that every time I have an ally, I always have that number one ally that I'm not going to vote for no matter what. And I guess it never even crossed my mind that Will would have voted for me, because in my mind, I would never have ever voted for Will, even if it was like final 4 or final 3 or whatever needed in any kind of game to win. If it was I'm going to lose the game to Will, I wouldn't have voted him out.
Yeah, believe me, I've been there, buddy. Looking at these two.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I can attest to the fact that sometimes it's not the right decision to turn on that ally, and it definitely did not work out well for me. So
to speak to Will's credit, in that moment, he has two things. It's either he's going to vote against somebody who's going to stay in the game, and then they're going to be like, well, Will voted for me, I can't trust him. But on the other side of it, I guess my initial reaction had been, if you vote for the person that's been your number one ally and everyone knows you're super tight, you can't trust them either. In my eyes, it was, if Will would turn on Emily P, he'll turn on me. Mm-hmm. So I guess he really had to just tread carefully and see how the Sabu Sabus would react. And I think he made the right call.
Yeah, it was definitely a rough spot for both you and Will. And also, kind of on that line, you said that Will was someone you never would have turned on. What was the final three what was your game plan? Let's say the demerge never happened. What was kind of your plan? Because it seemed like you were in a really good spot before, the Ben bomb and the demerge, kind of like two crises at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted, in my eyes, I wanted it to be me and Will and just whoever else was left. In my eyes, Will and I had been playing the game much better than other people. I knew that I didn't want Eliza or Brady there. But in my eyes, Will or I would beat anybody else.
Okay. So how are you thinking of, getting to the end? Because I know there was a little bit of things last episode where it kind of seems like the Innovatrium Alliance is, splintering a little bit. Kind of the Savu Savu versus the Tormenta.
My plan had to be vote Ben out and then flip with Aaron. So instead of the demerge, without the Ben bomb and the demerge, Aaron and I would have flipped to work with Dylan and Cassie and Brady.
Oh, okay. Because that's the thing. It seems like that after you and Aaron had definitely not, you and Aaron were not as close at the beginning of the game, or at least you really didn't want to work with her as much. But it seems like at this point in the game, you kind of were trending towards wanting to work with Aaron.
Yeah, in terms of, so initially Aaron really annoyed me, and part of that was because she talks nonstop, and she reminded me of my younger sister, who is just so similar to her. They had the same haircut at the time. They talked nonstop, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I can't deal with this. I deal with it at home. But then through working with her, I realized I got really sick really quick of the Ben and Will thing because it was obvious they were closer to each other. And so there were multiple times where I was just like, I need somebody that's with me but not with them. And so I worked on the Aaron relationship, and I was constantly trying to downplay it with Will and Ben specifically because I didn't want them to think I was getting as close to her as I was. And it just, circumstances just made us closer, and we were bonded. We bonded over life and ice cream.
And raw burgers.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Those burgers. Just thinking about those burgers, I can feel the texture in my mouth. I can feel the way it went down. My stomach is churning. Oh boy.
Right. Not to just keep bringing up season 2 stuff, but you talking about that just really reminds me of me with Maggie. I feel that was so much just us three talking kind of behind her back at the beginning of the game, and then towards the end of the game I really started to trust her, and then she found out about my other idol and then turned on me. It seems like it's kind of a very similar set of circumstances.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think even fake strategizing with someone, it's gonna turn into you're gonna get sick of managing somebody. Yeah. You need to start working with them for real at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of the reason with those relationships, you end up having to work with them strategically rather than just managing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fake alliances become the real alliances. It seems like.
Yeah.
Especially when you put so much effort into them. Yeah, you're so right.
So, after that whole Ben Bomb stuff happened, how did you, we didn't really see any sort of interaction between you and Aaron in the episode.
Yeah.
How what was kind of the fallout from that? You don't have to talk too specifically, but, I'm just, curious, how it all happened for you.
I waited 24 hours so that she could process it and get her thoughts together. And then I sent her a text, I apologized to her and let her know that when and if she wants to talk to me, I'm here, whether in a game or personal standpoint. And I left it at that. We never met again in the game. And I think that might have been what she needed. And I respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that Yeah. I think that it's good just to have like context for everybody of just like, I don't know like what happened with you too, because I think that, given that we can only show so many things in the episode, and obviously like you gotta focus on the strategy of what happens.
Yeah.
I think it's been a theme for sure in season 3 of like, it's a lot of personal things happening
Yes.
between a lot of different people,
Yes.
and it's
And
like you don't really get to see how everything ends. You just kind of see people get voted
yeah.
off. Like, okay, next episode.
Those personal things are something I did not expect and I was not prepared for. I came to play Survivor and I was going to do whatever it took to win. I saw it as you need to lie, you need to manipulate, you need to have real alliances, fake alliances. You need to I was a game bot in the sense of that. I love Survivor, and my favorite players are the strategists. Stephen Fishback, Cochran. That's my area, and I came in with a cast where it was people who wanted to make friends. Oh, I don't have many friends this semester. I want to meet people who like Survivor too. I want to hang out with these people. Stuff like that. I went into every conversation assuming I was getting lied to, and these people were trying to build friendships. And that really hurt me in the game because I wasn't. I did not care if I was going to be friends with a single person on that cast after the game. And that's, I think, part of the reason people refer to me as a villain is because these people were pawns. I didn't care about getting friends. I ended up with some from it, and some really unexpected people. Like Austin and I are very close. Just a few weeks ago, I masked up and I helped him move his apartment. And he has not been in contact with almost anyone with this COVID situation. And it was just making sure that he was okay.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you did end up getting to see like real friendships come out of the whole thing. But yeah, I guess that is like a different mindset than I think a lot of people here didn't know what Survivor really was, and like they were just here to join a club just to meet people and do something. Like there's a lot of people when it came into this game with a lot of different goals and like thoughts of what it was going to be.
I remember right away, Nicholas, when he was talking, all he wanted to talk about was his summer abroad trips and all the experiences he had. And I was like, do you know what Survivor is? Like, what is this? We had a conversation. There's actually a conversation shown where it's Nick and Aaron walking by the chem building. And I'm actually off screen there walking, and we're talking about Nick's like, why are alliances secret? I'm like, because they're secret. But he was there to have fun, and he definitely was a character. I'm glad he wasn't like the super strategic everything, because just seeing somebody that comfortable with himself was really refreshing.
Yeah, was it fun like seeing Nicolas, some of these other people, like seeing like what was going on in their head when you watched the season like after the fact?
Yes and no, because it really is humbling. When playing the game, I was like, I have complete control. Like, I know what's going on. I was trying to like slowly like move pieces. I wanted people to see other people as moving things and not be doing it. But some people saw right through that. Others were more strategic than I thought. Like on Devin and Dylan, their relationship was really impressive to me because honestly, I thought Devin was a picture on the wall that you'd glance at occasionally and be like, oh, that's kind of nice, but you weren't gonna really spend much time with it.
Yeah, I remember you roasting Devin in your confession when you voted for him. You're like, this is the only time that I will ever write your name down or something like that.
Yeah, I was so confident in that. When I was out, I was like, or when that week, I knew it was going to be me unless by miracle, Austin decided to start playing the game. Yeah, I didn't think Devin or Cassie would ever be anyone to win. It was at the end. And so I was confident that I could just say whatever, you know?
Also, kind of on one of the other notes you mentioned earlier about how you really had like a strategy where you were just like viewing it very much like as strategically and like game body in some sense. Do you
Yeah.
think do you think that since other people were not viewing the game the same way, or that everybody wasn't viewing it the same way, do you think that like put you at a bit of a disadvantage or like hurt your game in some ways?
I think it was both an advantage and a disadvantage. I think that's part of the reason I did so well on the swap tribe, because people weren't prepared for having to really make new relationships quick, but not necessarily like. I guess people were so set on their relationships. Like Chloe was blindsided because she was so comfortable in the fact that, oh, I've talked to these people, like we're fine.
Yeah.
Rather than seeing the strategy of, I leave Will and Emily out all the time. Why? Maybe they'll turn on me. So it was both good and bad. And the bad, it's truly it came with hurting people's feelings. And after the Ben bomb, the Sabu Sabus expected me to apologize to them. Will told me, hey, like I think they'd really appreciate you an apology. And I, as a GameBot, was like, why do I need to apologize to them? Like, this is Survivor, and I didn't say anything to them. The person in this game I hurt is Aaron. I don't owe them anything.
Yeah.
And that really is that attitude really hurt me that week.
Yeah. That's interesting. That was something that wasn't really like shown in the edit. I didn't really realize like kind of dynamics between how Sabu Sabu was involved with the whole situation.
Yeah. I after getting I was voted out. I was really pissed at Sabu Sabu for just I don't know. I felt like the way that one meeting had gone. It's shown at Amers where we're eating frozen yogurt. It was just it was insane. Both sides freaked out after that. But yeah, I was working with them out of necessity because we turned on Chloe. Brady and Ben weren't gonna be our best friends. I'd chosen Will over Ben, and it was very clear.
Yeah. Well, actually, also kind of on that note too. When you got voted off, you said that like you were going to vote for Brady. Was that like what you were actually going to do? Like, can you explain that?
No, I don't. In that moment, I just I think I had planned on saying something like snarky and just like iconic, right? But it just left my brain because I was hit with the raw emotion of realizing I didn't see a second vote for Devin. And so I was like, okay, put that behind, think of something. And I'll say, oh, I'll vote for Brady, whatever. It wasn't like strategy to like, oh, put a target on Brady. I didn't care about that, but it was, I wanted to make them uncomfortable, I think was what it boils down to.
Yeah, because I remember you also said something to Austin about how he had to like take control of his game.
Yeah, I really thought after my conversation with Austin that he had realized, or conversations with Austin, that he had realized that he needed to step up. And I tried to convey to him the Kumbaya strategy is not going to like get you to the end of the game or get you to win the game. And he really thought I was manipulating him at that point, and I wasn't trying to manipulate Austin. I was trying to just lay down the facts, and in my eyes, looking at the tribe, I thought it was in his best interest to keep me in the game, because I would have done anything for Austin. I wasn't lying in that meeting. If Austin had saved me at that time, he would have become my Will. And
I mean,
I forgot the question.
It does sound like you guys get along on a personal level, at least now after the game.
Yeah.
So, like, I can definitely see that alternate universe, you guys get super tight.
But because of the Ben bomb and the exposing of juggling alliances,
Yeah.
Austin couldn't trust me. There wasn't that foundation. He had just seen proof that, hey, Emily can be manipulative. So he made the call that, oh, she's probably manipulating me, charming me. And that's also completely fair.
I can't blame the guy.
I went very quickly from a position of really just having a great spot in the game to having almost no way forward really fast. And that's actually one of the things I love about Survivor is how quickly things can change and just how you have to be able to adapt in order to move forward. And I wasn't able to.
Yeah. What kind of like, what are your biggest regrets from the game?
There are two big ones. That I've said a lot. The first one is that I wish I hadn't tried to be so manipulative and controlling of fake alliances. I wish I just played, these are the people I'm playing with. I'll listen to other people and gather information, but don't make those kind of commitments or play with people's hearts. That was something that I got a lot of backlash at within the Survivor Michigan community afterwards. There are people who would not and still will not have a relationship with me based on that game. And I regret that, but I'm okay with not having those people in my life. But I also regret, on that note, I regret not voting Erin out first. I shouldn't have tried to manipulate her. And I think I don't see a part where if I keep her in the game, I'm manipulating her.
Interesting. Yeah. It kind of going on the more positive note.
Yeah.
What was your favorite like strategic move that you made during the game?
I really think that it was voting out Chloe. That is the point where I see in my game where part of the reason Will and I wanted to work with Savas is because of the way we'd been playing the game so far was not it didn't make us feel good, right? We were not being great, but we didn't feel great in that alliance, and we started to work with people that just like made us feel good. And that was good in the sense of it was a great move. Chloe was going to have a lot of control in that game, and it wasn't in our benefit to keep trusting Ben. And I'm really proud of that move. I think that move changes the course of the entire game. And another thing I'm proud of strategically was just this isn't even something that I guess shows as much in that it shows a little bit of like me going, oh, and here's the tea, is just trying to push Ben and Will apart.
Oh,
because
yeah.
A group of three is just really a bad idea. Even in like personal friendships, when you are in a group of three, someone's going to be left out at some point, whether it's two people having a conversation or remembering something where they were there and the other person wasn't. My best friend group for years in high school was me, my friend Alex, my friend Maddie. And it was always weird because you're always worried, like gossiping and all that stuff. It's just weird. Pushing them apart opened me up to have an option to have a two with somebody versus being a third and a three.
Yeah, or then the third person just like votes both of you out, you know, like and that's the worst.
Oh, sounds like you're speaking from experience.
Wait, did that happen to us, Jack?
I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch the tapes.
I have to watch the tapes. I'll review the tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Trios are interesting.
Yeah.
Three people can. What is the saying? Three can keep a secret if two are dead. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I've never heard that, but that's a little scary.
I haven't heard that, but that is a good quote.
Yeah. I really love Ben and Will.
It's a Benjamin Franklin quote. Sorry.
I hope they have the secrets they want to keep. And the other two of us will be gone.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Jack?
I don't know. Not that I can think of. I think we've gone through a lot.
Yeah. I guess just finishing up here, Emily. What lessons did you learn from the game? Like 2 years later, looking back, like what did you take away from it, and how did you grow from it all?
really about time management was a thing in terms of making sure I was always late to the challenges. I pissed people off a lot, and so I learned to be better about being on time for things. Now I'm very punctual. I think I learned not to try to be a people pleaser, which that does not come through in the edit. But in terms of, I think a lot of me wanting to work with everybody was also me not wanting anyone to dislike me. And now I'm okay with when people don't like me. I'm okay if I'm not everyone's favorite person. And that allows for a lot more authentic connections. And I am definitely not that crazy person I was in fall of 2018. I'm a different form of crazy. That fall I failed 3 classes playing Survivor Michigan. I had a 0.9 GPA that semester, and I had to bounce back academically. And I actually changed my major from nuclear engineering to economics. And I'm in such a better place in terms of personal life, academics, everything. It's just really, it's interesting to look back to that game, and I see the game and, why didn't I do this? Or, I'm proud I did this. But it's also like, oh my gosh, who is that person I'm watching? Like, I even look different. It's fun to see those kind of things. Yeah, Will is someone who, he looks exactly the same. I promise you it's exactly the same.
Man.
And Austin too. I think he got like an inch off his hair, but it's still looking.
Yeah, about pretty much the same.
Yeah. I can pretty much attest to that. That's funny.
It was a lot of fun, and it really it gave me like this taste of playing Survivor. And since then I've played LRGs. I'm now a patron to RHAP. Rob has a podcast. I've gone to live know-it-all events. Recently, my grandmother passed away, and I looked at the comments and the likes on the post, and I'm a very mathematical mind. 33% of the responses were from people I've come into contact through Survivor, which is so great. And it's great to watch people in the YouTube comments on Twitter just interacting with other people, connecting through this TV show that has just become such a big part of all of our lives.
Yeah. No, yeah, man. A lot of different things, a lot of different thoughts in that. Like, I mean, first, I do think it's really awesome how much Survivor has become really important in your life and a really big support system. Yeah, I'm really sorry about your grandmother. That's really sad. And
thank you.
Yeah. And also I wanted to note that definitely, 2 years is a long time. I'm definitely the Emily that I know now, you definitely are a lot different than the Emily that I remember from fall 2018. And I think that is one of the cool things is seeing throughout the years that, like, I feel like having this stuff that you can watch of season 3 is like a time capsule. Like, you can really see how people have changed since then, and grown. So
people changed so much in like 1 year of college. Like, okay, maybe Austin and Will didn't, but like really, like the 2 years since then, like that's like, I feel like that's like 10, like 15 years, like in post college life.
Survivor's a pressure cooker. College is a pressure cooker. Like,
2 pressure cookers.
Yeah, you're learning about yourself. You're interacting with different types of people. Like, I'm from a really small town. I had never met a Jewish person before college.
Yeah.
And then I'm playing this game, and people are like, hey, like, I know you because of you're Jewish, and my cousin knows you, and it's like, whoa, like, that's a whole other community that just brings people together. Specifically thinking of the moment with I think Leia and Brittany in season 1.
Oh yeah. And there's also in this season, there was Ben and Eliza. They were like, he was like, "Oh my gosh, are you Jewish too?"
Yeah,
they were like both like loving their curls. I thought that was fun.
It's great. When I was a kid, I wanted to be 5'7" and Jewish. I didn't understand that I didn't understand what being Jewish was, and now I have a lot of respect for it's a community, it's a religion, it's a way of life, and it's so being. I think as a kid, I just thought synagogue was a cool word, which is
when I grow up,
it is a cool word.
Yeah.
Yeah. People want to be doctors. I wanted to be 5'7". I'm not 5'7". I'm 5'5" 5.
You're almost there. Give it a few more years. We'll see.
One of those
You'll
like
get another growth
medieval,
spurt.
one of those medieval stretchers.
Yeah.
No, you just get your nutrition. Make sure you eat your raw burgers, and I'm sure you'll
My
Yeah.
work out.
Raw
Make sure you
burgers
get your
and
candy corn.
Raw
Make sure you
burgers
get
and
all the Ben and Jerry's or whatever ice cream it was you were eating the week you
Oh
got
yes, I
voted off.
spent so much money on Survivor.
All right. What's your favorite Ben and Jerry's flavor? That's my last question.
Oh my gosh, what's
Last
the
question.
Jimmy Fallon flavor? The Jimmy Fallon
Oh, yeah, that one's good.
like Tonight Dough. I don't know.
Yeah,
the
that one's
name.
great.
Yeah.
I love the Colbert, the Americone Dream. That one's great.
In the Avengers, they're talking about Ben and Jerry's flavors like Hulk
yeah.
and Love. I wish those were real.
Oh, remember when we all went to that together? That was fun.
Yeah, Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah. No, we saw it was Endgame.
Right.
We saw together.
Endgame, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was more tears.
Many more tears.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks a ton for coming on, Emily. It's been really great hearing from you.
So much fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all the love from all of us and all the Fire Mission community. It's everything you've been going through lately.
Thank you. And thank you guys for having this podcast. It's awesome. And yeah, I appreciate being on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Emily Paddock is now gone. We are now at the final 9. So let's talk real quick about the other tribe. There wasn't a whole lot of strategy going on. I mean, obviously, it seems like Emily B was trying to do some things, but she really kind of knew that she was not in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, she was like a lone wolf. It was like a Chloe situation almost.
Yeah. I think
she did a good job of trying to getting Brady to flip based on Dylan voting for him and stuff, trying to expose that crack, but it seems like they did a better job of patching the things up,
I mean, yeah, it seemed we kind of showed a scene where Tafiti all was meeting with each other. They're like, oh yeah, we're all cool with each other now. Tafiti has always been kind of, ever since that whole Rocks thing, it seems like they haven't been super tight. They went to Rocks for each other, and then they kind of weren't tight after that, which is just kind of weird.
Yeah. You feel like Rocks would be something that would be a blood bond, but
yeah, no. I thought it was funny how Dylan was kind of I just kind of me and Cassie just nodded everything Brady had to say, let him take the lead, but he thinks that we're all close now, and whatever, just kind of nod along, let him hear what he wants to hear. Dylan just seems like he's not totally bought into this whole Tafiti thing. I almost wonder if Brady has not been immune, if Emily could have swung people against Brady for this tribal.
Yeah, I feel like that seems more likely than the reverse of getting Brady to swing against them,
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a good argument. Brady's a threat.
Yeah. Well, and Cassie and Dylan, Dylan had already voted for Brady once. Cassie probably would have if she hadn't had her vote lost due to candy corn. And also, Erin has no incentive to want to, play her idol for Emily or, help Emily. Because, I definitely feel like Erin's kind of gravitating towards Tafiti. Especially, her and Brady have their alliance. Cassie had her whole, we believe in you thing. We saw a little scene of, her and Dylan talking. I don't know how much more there was for Emily B to do. Yeah, I mean, we get to Tribal Council. And it seems like it's going to be pretty straightforward. We do not see any idols played, including no Loraxes, sadly. And when Emily B is voted off, she says that Brady now has 3 jury votes. And then, you see a little cut to Paddock. She's like, copycat. But, it just makes you wonder, what if the Lorax really was a real idol and Emily B could have just saved herself if she played it?
Wait, was she saying that she would vote for Brady
Yeah, she said like,
versus the Savu Savu?
yeah, she literally said like Brady has 2 votes on the jury, and with me voted out, he
Well,
now has 3.
that's weird.
I think that I think that's because she actually wanted Brady to tank Brady's game, that she was like putting a target on his back.
Oh, you mean she said that to everyone?
Yeah, she said that like
Oh, right.
after her torch was snuffed, and like
That
when she
makes
was like
sense
walking
because
out.
it might have been her trying to help out the Savu Savus.
That's what I thought it was. Like I thought it was
Yeah.
her kind of being like throwing Brady under the bus a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
I love like Cooper's little thing where he was just like, it's already a fight for the jury votes, and as you can see, some of us are already ahead of others. Shows little Brady grinning there, sitting there on the bench. But you know, I am a little bit more curious about the thoughts on this Brady stuff and who Emily B actually was rooting for. So let's have her on and see what she had to say about it.
We couldn't get the Lorax on, but we could get the next best alternative.
Emily.
Hey,
Emily!
what's
Hey.
up?
What's up?
Nothing much, just, chilling here in my house in Ann Arbor. How about you guys?
Wow, we're all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all also chilling, I guess.
As are most people in the world
Yeah.
right now.
I feel like there's not a lot of people who are not chilling right now.
You know who has no chill? Actually, never mind. I was going to try and make a reference, and I couldn't think of anything. Wait, Emily, is this your first? You said you're living in a house?
Yeah,
Is it a new house? How's that going?
it's honestly great. I got pulled in by like one of my best friends, but I didn't really know a lot of other people in the house, and it's like a house of 10 people. So I was a little nervous, but everyone's so chill and it's really nice. And as far as Ann Arbor houses go, it's like a pretty nice house. And it's like in Carytown, so that's nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
And what grade
So
are
are
you
you
in
a
right
senior
now?
now?
Yeah, I'm a senior now.
Wow.
Crazy.
Now, I remember that you were one of the youngest people in season 3. When we had our podcast with Ben, he was like, yeah, like me, Jesse, Cassie, and Emily B were the youngest ones. And now you guys are all so grown up.
Wow.
I know. It was
Grew up so fast.
It's crazy to think about it. How I was I was 18 when we did that season, so
Oh, geez.
a while ago.
So wait, are you 20 or 21?
I'm 20 now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a youngin.
A youngin. Yeah. All right. But yeah, senior year, you have your senior year during a pandemic. That is quite a time, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, you get what you get. I'm at least glad I'm not like a freshman in like if I had like just finished high school, I would have taken a gap year if I could. Because I feel bad for all these freshmen because like you can't really how they're supposed to like meet people, because you can't really go out and mingle, but
Yeah, my brother's a freshman right now. Feel bad for him. He's at Ferris.
Wait, where is
So, yep. But yeah, it's kind of like how you're supposed to meet.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like if you're seniors, like you already have 3 years of like friendships. But if you're a freshman, it's like you're making this transition, and then you're immediately like all of your friendships are starting online. Like I don't know how that works.
I know, yeah, that would kind of suck. It's honestly not too bad as a senior. I'm like, I'm actually taking an extra semester, so I'll still be here like fall 2021. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that semester will be like semi-normal. Because like fall in Ann Arbor is my favorite time, so hopefully that can be kind of normal. But as a senior, it's not too bad, honestly, because yeah, like as you said, you have your friends sort of, and you can hang out on porches and outside in socially distanced fashion and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the coolest thing that's happened to you between Survivor
man.
season 3 and now?
That's hard. God, I don't know. I guess I don't know, kind of a variety of things. I mean, I made a lot of like progress on what I want my career to be, sort of, and I spent this past summer working on a political campaign, which is pretty cool.
Whoa, that's cool. What do you mind
Ooh.
sharing something like what kind of political campaign? Like what was that like?
Yeah, it was well, I was supposed to be in Washington D.C., but it got canceled because of COVID, obviously. So it was all remote, but it was a campaign for like a U.S. congressional campaign. Sadly, my candidate did not win, but it was a really great experience, and I got to like do a lot of direct voter contact and like, you know, enter data and keep track of it on like all the DNC databases and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really
Man.
cool.
I'm bummed that they didn't play an idol, or maybe it would have helped them out.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, yeah, got the Lorax
You need to cancel.
in there.
Yeah, you need to get some extra votes or some steal votes. You know, maybe it would have helped.
Exactly.
You need to borrow Austin steal a vote or something.
If only I could.
Electric fraud is not a joke.
That is not okay to do. You know what?
We're veering into political joke territory. Yeah. Maybe we should veer back into Survivor territory.
Let's go back into territory for sure.
Let's go into safer waters.
Yeah, let's go back to the safer waters and talk about like bullying and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Talk about like bombs. Speaking of let's talk about the Ben bomb. What were your thoughts about the Ben bomb? Because you guys didn't have much time to process
it, right?
We
did not. Everyone was so flustered that night because, so like Ben made his dramatic exit and we all saw our emails and it was a really dramatic email. I still have it. And then there were all these like attachments to it that were his like screen recording videos of all the messages. And I think the producers gave us like 10 minutes maybe between the end of that tribal and the next challenge to sort of like talk about it. And so like nobody had time to read all the messages at that point. So everyone was like kind of wondering what they all were. And of course, Emily and Will were freaking out and everyone was just extremely flustered. And then we are going directly into a challenge where we demerge of all things. And anyone who knows me in Survivor knows, like, I literally the past 2 years, I like lament about the demerge. It just like totally screwed over. But yeah, no, everyone was so flustered thinking about the Ben bomb, and it just, nobody's mind was like really in the right place for that challenge.
Yeah, do you think it like flustered you too, and like everyone's trying to strategize for what you're gonna do with like the whole like, you know, do you stay in the challenge or do you try to like get above?
Yeah,
do you think
that definitely happened? Like I really regret not like trying to stay in, because we had after we like demerged officially and they read out what the challenge was, I think we had like 3 minutes maybe to strategize before it started. So I'm in a clump with like, you know, Eliza, Devin, Austin, Will, and Emily, I think. And we're all trying to like kind of figure out what we're doing, but everyone else is listening in and everyone's trying to talk to everybody. And nobody really, nobody came up with a cohesive plan. We didn't have a plan at all. Going into it, so kind of like I wasn't even thinking straight. I think when we started, I didn't have any particular plans to drop, but like Dylan and Cassie dropped so fast, and then a couple other people dropped so fast that I just like instinctively dropped really fast and ran, which like in retrospect I really wish I hadn't, but you know, that's how it goes.
Oh, and then also so brutal watching the part where you're looking at the buff
Oh,
and then like
my
deciding what
God.
one to take, and then Devin just like snatches it.
He literally snatched it. I like when I watched that back on the episode, oh my God, I didn't think it'd be like that clear.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It was because I don't know. There was like one pink one left, one orange one left, and I'm actually pretty sure. I think I basically what had happened, I had like touched the orange one first, but then I was like trying to pick up the pink one. But of course I was like sort of indecisive standing there, not sure. But like before Devin got there, I think one of the producers said to me like, oh, like you already like touched the orange one. Like you have to take the one you already touched. And I was like, wait, like that wasn't a rule. And they're like, yes, it's a rule. But it like wasn't a stated rule. So then I was kind of like standing there confused because like I didn't want to take the orange one, but like they were saying I had to, and then Devin like swoops in, and then I had no choice.
Man. Yeah, that's just such a frustrating situation. Like, yeah, because not only are you flustered and things are moving so fast, and then it's like someone's saying you can't do this and that, and it sounds like a very flustering, like the whole thing is it all happened so fast and had very big ramifications for the game.
Yeah, 100%. It was like a turning point completely. And as soon as I had the orange buff, like I just had this sinking feeling of doom, basically.
Yeah.
You know, because God, I'm stuck with Dylan and Cassie and Brady and Aaron, and like even though like I didn't know for sure about Aaron either way. Because like I was a little nervous about her after we had, you know, like split votes on her and everything. But yeah, so I knew that there was gonna be like very, you know, little to none like wiggle room for myself.
Yeah, that was tough. Yeah, you did not have a lot of wiggle room because Aaron, I guess you didn't. Did you know that Aaron? You knew that Aaron had an idol. Everyone knew Aaron.
Yeah, we
idol,
knew
right?
honestly, literally the night of, because we had run into Aaron earlier that night, and she was like alone, frantically searching. And then maybe 45 minutes later, we come across her again, and she's like eerily calm. She has her hands in her pockets. She's like walking slowly. She's with a producer. So we all like knew that she had it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, do you want to talk through, the different strategies that you had that week? Because like,
yeah,
it didn't seem like a ton of it was shown, but also there wasn't like a ton of like people weren't really giving you the time of day. It seemed like
yeah,
your
exactly.
tribe.
Yeah. So once we got into the portion that was like my week, well, I was also like I tried as much as possible to like strategize with the other people for their tribal because like I knew I was like about to go, so I was like I'm gonna get in as much survivor strategy as I can. But yeah, so let's see, I tried a variety of things. So I tried first talking to Erin and trying to work with her, and we had talked about maybe being able to pull Brady in to vote out either Dylan or Cassie because Dylan and Cassie had previously come to me wanting Brady out. Of course, I didn't know that Aaron and Brady were close at that point at all. But sort of throughout the week, I started to feel like less good about Aaron, just like the way she was responding to my like texts or the way she was talking on the phone. Like I got this sense that she wasn't really with me. And let's see what else did I. So then I also tried talking to Brady a lot, and I actually had a meeting with Brady and Eliza, and that wasn't shown in the episode, but there was like a lot of talking to Brady that happened and a lot of like attempted negotiations. So like, you know, I came to him and I said that Dylan and Cassie had wanted him out I tried to bargain with him and say, so it's like advantageous for you to get one of them out because they're a really tight pair and they want you out. But also, if you saved me and got one of them out this week, I would promise you that the next week we would get out Austin if you're like feeling nervous about the Savu Savu 4.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because I had been feeling a little bit sketched out by Austin, as was portrayed in the episode, I think, because he was really letting his emotions get to him, and he was like considering voting out Devin, which was not cool in our eyes. And I just there was like a lot of that where I felt like he was kind of like getting manipulated by the other side a lot. So I was feeling a little sketched out by him. So I didn't have a problem with him going really. So I tried to like pull that string with Brady. And then I also met with Cassie, try to like work that out with her. I wish Devin had like said something to me about him like, or not even had said something about him working with Dylan, but somehow had like let me know that was like a good path to try to take or whatever, because I got nothing from him on that end. So like I didn't even really try to talk to Dylan that much because I didn't think it would really get anywhere. Yeah, so that kind of sums up all the strategies I had going into that week, but it honestly felt like I was just, what's a good like metaphor? I don't know, like running on ice. Like I wasn't getting anywhere, I just felt like I was like on a slow path to my game death.
Oh man. Would you rather go out that way, whereas like you're gonna go home, or be blindsided completely and have like no idea?
It's funny you should ask that, Sam. No spoilers though. I think honestly I'd rather be blindsided, because it's like really depressing to just like know you're going like that and to be doing everything you can, but sort of know deep down that it's not really making a difference.
Yeah.
And blindside, at least it's like, dramatic and exciting. At least somebody like thought you were like in their way enough to go to the bother of like blindsiding you,
Yeah. And you can think about like, oh, well, if I knew, I could have done all these things. But it's like when that you try all these things and they don't work, it's just, it feels depressing. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that definitely does be discouraging to like, you did try so many different angles and like, I really know that once you got on that tribe, it doesn't seem like there really was a lot of room for you to do much things to save yourself,
Yeah, there really wasn't. It was just that everything that happened that night, the demerge and then the tribes, and that was sort of my end.
Do you have any like regrets about that week specifically, or like about your game, like what things you could have done differently?
Well, I don't have, okay, other than, I wish that I had stayed in the challenge and not dropped. Other than that, I don't have any regrets from that week because I really think I did everything that I could. Other than that, not dropping, I think the only other regret that I have in the game is that I wish I had reached out to more people like on other tribes towards the beginning of the game. Which I don't like blame myself for not, I guess, because I had only seen, I think, season 1 of CBS Survivor before playing season 3.
Oh wow, and that's so different too.
I like literally had seen very little. So I learned like a lot more about Survivor sort of throughout the season, and like now 2 years later, I obviously know a lot more, but I didn't at the time. So I didn't even realize at the beginning that like people were talking to people in other tribes. Like I didn't know that was a thing, So I did a good job from like the knowledge that I had. But I wish that I had made those connections, because I think, maybe then I could have somehow maybe pulled something with like Dylan and Cassie. I don't know. But yeah, I think other than that, I think that's like the only thing.
So during tribal, like you left and you said that Brady had one more jury vote. Was that you trying to help Sabu Sabu members by like targeting Brady, or was that actually like your thoughts?
God, it's hard to even remember that.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm pretty sure I had heard that, like, I don't know if it was, I think Emily had like also said that or something. And when I was like talking to Sabu Sabu, I was like thinking, okay, like what should I like say when I get voted out or whatever, gotta have a good exit. I think it was sort of a mix of like it was definitely trying to like put a target, like add to the target on Brady's back, I guess, like because he didn't go with me, kind of. And that if more people were saying that they were going to vote for him, that would put a bigger target on him. Yeah, I think that was sort of the main premise behind it.
Okay, that makes sense.
But honestly, that I feel like emotions were just like so high that night. I don't really know.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Let's see. Question. So yeah, what do you think was like? Oh yeah, there's something I wanted to ask about from a few episodes ago. I think this might have been. I think this was shown briefly or talked about at least, that you and Cassie had like had a meeting at some point and like strategized a little bit. What was the deal with that?
Yeah, so I remember that she didn't want us to film that meeting. I forget why. It was kind of weird. But so yeah, we met. She had reached out to me, which I thought was really funny because like the whole game ever since that, like, I don't know, week 3 tribal, is like we hadn't talked. I feel like Sabu Sabu, it was just like a running gig to be like, haha, Cassie's not doing anything. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
So I was like really surprised when she reached out to me. And basically she reached out to me because she wanted Brady out. And it was when we were all trying to like decide between Brady and Ben. So like she met with me and she wanted to see if there was a way that like I'd be able to get everyone else to vote Brady out instead of Ben. And as seen in the episode, like, my group, we did try to convince them to vote Brady over Ben, but it didn't really go down very well. It was not very effective. So, I mean, I guess that really didn't work out. And that was one of the things that like Cassie said when I met with her the week I got voted out, where she was like, like, man, I don't know, maybe it would have been different if Brady had like actually gone out or whatever that one week. But I don't know. The whole Brady versus Ben thing, I mean, there's only so much like one person can do about that,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Also, I know it was definitely clear in the edit that like Eliza was your closest ally. Well, how would you have ranked the other people in the game as far as like at the final 9, like who you were the closest with to like who you were the least close with?
Yeah, so I think Eliza was definitely my closest ally at that point, but very like not far behind her at all was Devin, which I don't think it's like shown that much really throughout the season. I guess we didn't like record all of our conversations, but ever since like the first day, I think Devin and I were pretty close. Because like the first day after we lost the challenge, like we were all like standing there in a line and he was next to me and he like whispered to me like meet afterwards kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so then we met and we talked and we decided to sort of have like a kind of like low-key long game alliance kind of thing that other people that, you know, obviously people would know we were allies, but not sort of to the extent, I guess. So yeah, Eliza and Devin, definitely my two closest allies. At that point I was starting to be a little sketched out by Austin, so I don't know so much about him. Probably I probably still felt better about him than like Emily and Will, just because like we knew that, you know, they had like flipping on the mind kind of thing. But I think I felt closer to Emily than I did to Will. But of course that sort of changed after the whole Ben Bond thing. And then I didn't feel like super inclined, I don't know, to work with either of them, but not that it mattered really because they weren't on my tribe. But and then I'm trying to think, everyone else, I was really not with everyone else because I mean, who's left? Like Brady, Dylan, Cassie,
Aaron.
Yeah. So like Aaron, I wanted to work with Aaron. It was just, I mean, I guess she made that call the last week that, you know, she was not going to work with me.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to say like the whole like I remember like reading like the YouTube comments on that episode where we got Chloe out about like, oh, like why would they put votes on Aaron, you know, that kind of thing. And the whole like reasoning behind that was that we like made it so that if Aaron was telling us the truth, then Chloe would go home. But if Aaron was lying to us, then she would go home. So
yeah, like the test kind of
an insurance policy on that, I guess, because honestly, like, I mean, it's not really shown in the episodes, but sort of like the vibes we got from her, like the vibes I got from her when I was talking to her, it's like I didn't feel 100% comfortable, you know what I mean? And especially since the whole game had gone on hearing like Torfidi this, Torfidi that, you know, fuck Sabu Sabu this, you know.
Yeah.
Anyone who was like on Tafidi or Tormenta, I was just like naturally very like wary of.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. Like, especially because Tormenta, I feel like they definitely have this reputation of being just like wild cards.
Yeah.
Cool. So, let's see. What other things? What was one of your like favorite memories from the whole experience?
Oh man. There's so many. I think honestly, like one of my favorite memories would just be, I loved how like, you know, spontaneous meetings would be. It was just very exciting. Like I remember I like got back to my dorm at like 2 a.m. after some tribal or whatever, and I was like already back, but then Eliza called me and she was like, wait, can you come over right now? Like I want to have a meeting, you know? And then I'd be like, okay, sure. And I'd walk over to her house, and then like we'd all like meet up and, you know, strategize during the night and stuff. And I don't know, just sort of like the spontaneity of it and how exciting it was. I always say like to people when I like describe Survivor, I'm like, okay, imagine the excitement that you get from Capture the Flag when you're like 7, and it's that same kind of excitement.
Aww.
Yeah, that's so cool. And but also, and it lasts so long too, and it's like you're all into it together. Yeah,
exactly.
It's something just like you think about it a lot, you know, like you're in your class and you're just like thinking about it.
Yeah, no, literally all the time. And it's just like, you know, you're always, you know, it is a lot of fun to like think about it all the time. And I remember like when the whole like tribal happened where Devin and Eliza like pulled off the whole thing with like all the fake idols and stuff. I remember I was in the library, I was in Ugly, the library, like studying for my exam, which was like the next day. And I don't know, it was like 11 o'clock or something. And I was 100%, I was like so sure that one of them was going home. And then Devin called me and he was like, we both made it. And I almost screamed in the library. And then I like ran to Elise's house. And then we had it was like the whole video where I was screaming about the idol.
Oh man. Yeah, that I just remember how like happy and excited you guys were in that video. That was like, it was fun to watch, even just because it's like you three were all clearly just like so excited.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Oh man, I was a little bit bummed that we didn't see you pull out the Lorax and play it, the tribal council. You voted off.
Honestly, I really should have. I should have. I think I threw it away because it was like really disgusting.
Oh my gosh. What's like the biggest thing that you learned from playing Survivor?
Oh man. God, I don't know. I guess this like doesn't sound super positive, but you know, in like a game like Survivor, I guess sort of I learned within that context, you can really just like fully rely on yourself and trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it can be dangerous to like trust somebody else so completely. You know, because like you never know. It's kind of funny because like I talk about with like, because now in Survivor, like we're all friends, you know, it's a whole big like community, and we like talk about a lot about like I wonder how, you know, good for us these games actually are, because so we've got like the season that we play, but then, you know, as you guys know, we all like, you know, play these like summer games and like the online games, and you know, so many, like I can't even count how many times I've played like a version of Survivor with these people. And it's like you lie to your friends like over and over and over again. And it's honestly so funny. It's like, is it really good for us to be like lying to each other all the time? Maybe not. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of what I learned.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Cool.
I guess to make it sound more positive, I learned to trust yourself.
There you go. There you go. That's a good one too. All right. So we gotta get going soon here, Emily, but do you have any more thoughts in general that you wanted to get out there about the game and about the whole experience and about the show and the edit and everything?
Well, I guess I would say like I'm like super impressed with the edit, because I remember just like, you know, 2 years, you know, it's like 2 years of suspense, like, you know, oh my gosh, like I can't wait for when our season comes out, but at the same time feeling like, oh my gosh, it's like so far in the future, you know, it's like we're gonna be like 50 when it comes out, but
yeah.
But I mean, I think obviously it's really a hard job to do, because there's like so much footage and so many people, and there's like so many different things going on that it's hard to like get a storyline. But so far I think it's like been portrayed really well. So I'm like really happy with how it's been.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you're enjoying it, Emily. Really good to hear from you and hear what you're doing.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoy your new house.
Thank you. And yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
Of course. Stay safe.
Absolutely.
Have fun with online university.
And online Survivor.
Yeah, Zoom University. Here we go.
Zoom University.
All right. Talk to you later, Emily.
See ya.
Bye. Well, cool. We had some great to hear from both of them.
Yeah, both of Emily's awesome people, great Survivor players. So sad to see them both go this episode.
I know. So let's talk through some eulogies for the Emilys. We had 3 Emilys, now there are 0 Emilys.
Ugh.
Man.
How the turntables.
So first we had Emily P. So yeah, I mean, I feel like she definitely had a lot of control in the game. She definitely played a really good game up until these like. It's funny because it kind of reminded me of like the year 2020. Her game is like the year 2020,
Yeah.
where it was going really well. Everything was going well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had all these crises hit at the same time,
Yeah.
like the coronavirus pandemic and an
Mm-hmm.
economic crash, and
Yeah.
a lot of civil unrest, and just
Yeah.
like the Ben bomb and the demerge, and you know, she really was not able to survive all these crises. But
Mm-hmm. I think no, she was definitely like. I feel like she's a classic example of somebody who plays like a fantastic pre-merge, early merge game, and then just for reasons both out of and kind of in her control is sent home in that early merge period. Well, I guess in this case a demerge period, but
yeah,
it's the same basic concept.
I really think that she had a lot of really good skills. I mean, she was very, very good at like reading people and like kind of had really good intuition. I just think that she was maybe a little bit too game body, and I think that ended up hurting her in the end.
Yeah, I feel like she kind of hit the nail on the head, like with her own kind of like self-assessment, and that she's the type of person who's like expecting everybody else to be playing on that same level as her, and like reading into all these things, and just like trying to play 10,000 steps ahead. And and it kind of came back to bite her.
Yeah, and I feel like in this season is just as important to have those skills as it is to like just have that pure like social skill and likability. Like someone like Dylan has definitely not done as many things as she has, but he's still here. Same thing with someone like Devin, who's played a more laid back game, or somebody like, I don't know. A lot of people. It's just like. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like she definitely played a really good game, but she just like didn't quite have what it took to survive past that like beginning early merge thing. Just a little bit of tweaks to her game that would kind of help her out in the future. She's the kind of person where I think that if she did like tweak a few things in her game, she'd be very, very good in another season.
Yeah, and like not even that she's bad socially. Like I feel like she had a lot of good social connections. It's just the unpredictability of the Ben bomb and all that stuff through all this.
I wouldn't say she got totally voted out totally due to her own like mistakes. We were kind of talking about earlier. There's definitely an element of like luck that comes into the game too. So where are we gonna rank Emily in that 10th place pantheon?
So remind me, who are the other two?
We have Kara and Bree.
All right. So we ranked Bree ahead of Kara, right?
I think so. Yeah. Bree had. I would definitely. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And like thinking back on it, like Kara went out due to rocks, right? And she kind of just like a follower. I don't know. I think this might be an easier one.
Yeah.
I would probably put Emily in first.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I feel like I would definitely, I think, put her ahead of Kara. She's a lot more looking out for herself, making her own moves, has such a good sense of the game. And then in terms of Bree, yeah, I feel like with Bree, like I think a big knock on her is that she didn't have like the best pulse on alliances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Bree was really good socially and had good connections, but like also she wasn't really, I don't know.
And Bree didn't necessarily have her signature move she can point to.
Exactly.
Like she had a pretty good game knowledge, but she never really like. I know she kind of had the Sarah Avery thing, but that wasn't really a move. And she wanted to turn on you, but it didn't really all come together. Whereas Emily can definitely point to like multiple like moves that she made, like the Chloe thing, like turning kind of like getting in the middle of Ben and Will, setting herself up there, helping. Like her and Will were definitely a partnership, but she had like a lot of, I think, influence over like the direction of the game.
Yeah, and I feel like she fought a lot more. I mean, like I feel like Bree was a lot more blindsided than Paddock was, and like Paddock fought a lot more. It was probably closer to like, like I don't know if Austin ever would have actually flipped, but at least I don't know. It goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier about like being blindsided versus fighting for it. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely put Paddock as number one of the tens.
Paddock. Alrighty. So we're going to go Paddock, then Bree, then Kara.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Now let's move on to the eulogy for the final of the three Emilys. Our good friend Emily Bachwick. I think that Emily B, she said she didn't really have a ton of game knowledge coming into it. I feel like she had a good feel for the game, but she just like didn't kind of like Jesse to the extent that she didn't necessarily know like how to make moves.
Yeah, I feel like she's kind of like in a weird way a combination of the other two Emilys in that Emily Levy didn't really know much about the game going in and wasn't able to really get a lot going. And Paddock, obviously, super big into Survivor and it's good socially. I feel like, Bachwick didn't know much about Survivor at this time, but also was able to like be good socially and kind of get a natural feel for it, where she was able to get people on her side. And she definitely played a like lower key game than Paddock, but that doesn't mean that like she wasn't like successful in what she was doing, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Like I felt like she had a good social game. Like Emily B seemed very, very well liked by everybody.
Yeah.
And like no one really ever had anything negative to say about her or like, oh, Emily B is the worst. Like nobody ever had any negativity towards her. I just think that like probably her major weakness was kind of what she named, where she was like, I just didn't realize that people were talking about other people in the other tribes. Like she was very, very like well connected within Savu Savu. And I think had the demerge not happened, she would have definitely rode it out far with Savu Savus, but like she just didn't really have the connections outside of them, which I think really hurt her in the demerge. So this is going to be a tough one. We had to rank Emily B against Angela and Abby.
Who did we originally have? I honestly don't remember.
I don't either. I think I want to say we put Angela ahead of Abby, but I don't have it. It was a close one, I think. I have it written down somewhere, I think. I'll try to find it. But
some KYTL super fan, let us know.
yeah. Let us know, and then like, so use like Mallory's time machine to tell us.
Yeah.
So what are your
honestly,
initial
I feel like they're all
kind
of similar players, like in a weird way. They're all like good socially. People like them. They're not super huge threats, but then they're also more easy to pick off in this stage of the game. Like I feel like they all share a lot of like commonalities. I don't know.
I know. I almost wanted to say like Angela equals Abby equals.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a cop out, but
that is a cop out.
All right. So, all right. Well, Angela, Abby, and Emily B. What they all have similar is that neither of them really were big influencers of the game. None of them really made a move. You can actually, I don't know. I do kind of want to say that Abby she definitely played a part in getting rid of Kevin, which is a pretty big move. And
but I'm weirdly kind of leaning towards Abby. I don't know.
As being number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I'm trying to think of what Emily B. She's probably the best social player of the three. But Abby, I think, was probably. I saw Abby like try to do more things.
And I feel like she was like, I don't know. I guess Emily was also like really fighting at the end, and like they're both kind of in.
Oh, that's true.
They both kind of in like really kind of screwed situations. Yeah, where there's nothing really they could have done, but they were like really trying their hearts out. Gosh, I know. I want to do the equals, but that's such a cop out.
So if you ran the simulation 100 times, who makes it further, Abby or Emily B?
I don't know. Now I'm kind of going back to Bachwick, but
I feel like we're ranking season 3 people high on like
I know.
every
I feel
single
like
one
it's
of
recency
these.
bias. It's recency bias.
I feel like part of it probably maybe it. And also we don't want to just like we're just gonna say Angela's last. I feel like that's fine. Let's just go with our gut. Our gut told us Abby's number 1.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to go with the gut. We're gonna say we can come back and revisit these later, and we can give the full ranking of all 18.
Yeah,
And even Rob
yeah.
Cesternino revises rankings every so often.
Exactly. And
But
we'll check back in on season 4, the rankings.
Yeah, maybe we'll remember them differently, but we'll have to let this marinate. For now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we probably said Angela over Abby last time.
Yeah,
for all
probably
I know.
knew. Let's just say that. I guess we're going to say the reasoning for this is that Abby tried to do more.
Yeah. And try to do more earlier and was part of things earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, she tried to do more earlier. I just think the Kevin thing is something on her resume where she had a lot of power that week. Emily B never really had a week where she had a lot of power, but Abby had the power where she knew the whole plan to get rid of Kevin. She knew Kevin had the idol. Both sides kind of trusted her, and she made her decision. She thought she had like this alliance with like me and Sarah and Maggie, and she thought she was set up really well with the merge. And both of them kind of had the weakness where they didn't really reach out to the other tribe. But I think that Abby at least made a move.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's where we're going to leave it at. Abby, Bachwick, and then Angela. So
I feel like we might be discounting Angela. I just feel like it's been so long since season 1. I can't remember as well.
Oh, Angela's underrated too. Okay, we can talk about this.
Yeah, let's put a pin in this. Yeah,
we're putting a pin in this one. All right. Well, Sarah, as you can see, Sarah has been to the market, but we were able to get some good power rankings out of it, anyways.
Yeah, I feel like Sarah's gonna listen to this and be like, "What the fuck, guys? Angela's miles better than everybody."
Probably.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments what do you think about our rankings, and
yeah, and I'm very excited to talk about the next episode. Yeah, it's been out by the time of us recording this, but don't want to spoil it unless people are listening to this while watching it. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun next week.
Yep, we can see if the person is better 8th place player than I am.
Yeah, whoa, and that'll be a good comparison.
It'll be a good
that'll
one.
Be fun.
It'll be fun.
All right.
Well, we'll have some things to talk about next week, so tune in.
All right, bye guys.
Goodbye.